What's going on, guys? This is Gable Bradley, and you're watching The Libby Show.
How did she do it? Do it. Do it. Do it.
Libby. Libby. Libby.
3, 2,
Libby.
1.
It's the Libby Show.
What's going on, everybody? Libby here with the Libby Show. On today's episode, we have a very special guest who just released his debut EP, Born Ready, Mr. Gable Bradley. How's it going?
What's going on, Libby?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks.
How's your week?
Week's good. Let's take a drink first.
Let's take a drink first. Guess what we're drinking today, guys? Off Hours bourbon whiskey, provided by Off Hours themselves.
Yeah, it's good.
So talk about what you do in your off hours. So, like, you love your motorcycle, traveling.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing, it's not really funny, but the thing about, being an artist and in music and involved in this talent industry, really there's no off hours. You know what I mean? Like, it never stops. Just because, like, when you're not working or writing or traveling, you're always thinking about it, you know? So, but I do like to ride my bike. I think I love my bike so much because it's the only thing that just shuts my brain off.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can't think about anything else when you're riding other than yourself and the machine. You're gonna die. You know what I mean? So it's just like
You have to be really focused.
It's just meditative for me because it just just give me something to focus on.
So you have a song called Muscle Car.
I do.
Just a little bit of a detour off motorcycle, but talk about the lyrics of it, what inspired it, and why it's one of the songs on the EP.
Me and my good friend Danny Meyer, who's been like a soul brother to me. He took me under his wing last year, and a little over a year ago. And he's obviously a hit songwriter and has been around for a long time. And we met during 2020 writing. We had a writing session, and we just clicked. So we decided to kind of get out of town and just the two of us and kind of see what we could make shake writing wise. And he had a friend at the time that had a place down in the Panhandle, so we went down there, and that was one of the songs we wrote that week. And I've had the title "Muscle Car" on my phone. As writers, we just got like lists of titles, and so I had that title on my phone for a long time, but I never knew like what direction to take it. We got to talking, and my dad, I come from a big family.
Okay.
So my dad's got 3 older brothers, and I growing up, I thought they were just the coolest guys. Like we'd have like Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything at our house, and so we'd have like 60 people, over at our house for the holidays.
Yeah.
And they were always just like so cool to me. I always idolized them, and one brother specifically, his name was Jackson, and they called him Action Jackson. That's not a lie. And he was always riding motorcycles and always had like muscle cars and stuff and cool cars. So I had that title from kind of thinking about him, and Danny just helped me paint it the way we did, and I love it. It's been like a staple at our live shows recently.
I love that.
Yeah.
People are going to love hearing it live, for sure.
It's fun.
Shows are a thing now,
Finally,
they're back.
Finally. Yeah, I mean, it's been fun. I mean, the shows, because that's where I thrive. I think as an artist is the live thing.
The live shows.
Yeah.
So talk about your family, where you're from Arkansas originally. Talk about just like being in a family that supports your pursuit of music and just, I don't know, like creating stories for what you're writing now.
Yeah, I mean, I look back and I'm like, I don't think I could freaking do this without like the support of my family. And I'm not talking about like financial support. I'm talking about like having a wall of people because this is just like, to pursue your dream, it just like takes mental fortitude, right?
Yeah. And
like any kind of support helps. And having that wall and foundation of family to like lean back on has been the world. Music for me started initially through my mom.
Okay.
She bought.
Does she have any musical talent?
Not really. Like a little piano as a kid, like way as a kid. But not really. That's the weird thing. And she always wanted a baby grand piano. That's like was her thing. She wanted a baby grand piano as like furniture, like to look pretty in like old Southern home kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they bought a baby grand, and like it was missing keys and had never been tuned in like 70 years, but it was old world, so it was beautiful. And I guess I was just sitting there. I must have been like second or third grade and just banging on it, you know.
That's
and
so cool.
my mom was like, maybe we should put him in piano lessons, and that was it. I took till I was like 19.
You stuck with it longer than I did. So it kind of happened. Well, I'm not musically inclined, but my parents put me in piano lessons in the second grade.
Yeah.
Because I could play Happy Birthday.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I like got really tired of it and but then I picked it up again and then let it go or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, it was my mom and dad. They were like,
Yeah.
stick with it, you know what I mean? Because I think they saw I had something. It got hard for me because I never really wanted to play, like, the classical stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I did, but it wasn't my, like, passion.
that's not like your thing, obviously.
No. It totally changed when Kathy Meska was her name, my piano teacher, and we're still friends, you know what I mean? Like, and she turned me on to jazz and, like, blues. And, like, I was like, oh. Yeah, like, no, I love this. The guitar for me, my brother played guitar, hell of a guitar player. And I always wanted to play guitar because I thought it was cooler.
Yeah.
You know, so I picked it up.
That's
kinda
Spencer
banging around.
that we're talking about?
No, my other brother.
Okay.
And yeah, I started kind of teaching myself when I was like 17, 18. But I mean, having like, you know, the support of the family was everything.
Of course. And so I feel like this album also has a little bit of like free-spirited vibe to it
For
as
sure.
well. So talk about that. Talk about how that relates to your whole vibe as an artist and
Mm-hmm.
just who you are and how that's shining through this EP.
Yeah, I mean, this EP, it's got 5 songs on it. And so it's kind of like my first chapter as like a artist coming out of this town. And the writing process has been like years in the making, specifically like the last 2 to 3.
Yeah.
You know. But that free spirit, and I feel like everyone from a small town has that in their bones.
Yeah.
You know, whether they stay there or not, I think they're always kind of like, what else is out there over that horizon? You know what I mean? Like,
what else is, like, what is beyond just these...
the walls of that town,
Yeah.
you know? And maybe their family, you know, and like what they're doing in that town, you know? And I was lucky enough to, and not that that's a bad thing to stay in a town, but I always wondered like what else is out there? What more can I do?
Yeah.
And so when I was 18, you know, I left. And I lived a lot of life in my early 20s and saw and met some beautiful people. And I feel like all those memories, even though I wasn't like writing a ton then, it all like soaked into my bones of who I am as an artist. And yeah, I mean, my influences range from like, you know, the Springsteens and Bob Seger and Jackson Browne, all those guys.
Jackson Browne is the G, and I'm really, like, so my parents went to one of his concerts, and I was so jealous.
I haven't seen him live.
I've seen him live once, like one time at the Americana Music Fest.
Yeah.
Saw him live at the Americana Music Fest, and it was just so awesome.
Yeah.
He's great. So, in regards to those influences, what would you say out of those have influenced your sound versus your lyric?
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, I feel like we can kind of float in 2 different lanes, right? Like the lyric is very narrative driven and story driven. But the sound, I fell in love with like Kings of Leon records and like the Killers and like this ambient big arena rock sound a long time ago.
Yeah.
And like if you see our show, like it's I mean the songs and the lyrics are very under the country umbrella, right? Because it's story driven. But the sound, it's a rock and roll.
It has a little bit of a rock
for sure.
sound to it.
Yeah. I mean, I still love electric guitars and we get down on stage. You know what I mean? So I think you know U2, you know, just those seeing how big you can make it has always turned me on.
But I feel like this EP and your sound and how you've balanced your voice and whatever else is in the track, it doesn't sound so big to the point where it's overwhelming. I feel like you've balanced it well to where, like in Spade, for example, it starts out pretty like low tempo and then it really builds towards the end. So like talk about that song.
Yeah, well, I mean, just as far as like the sound stuff goes, I think a lot of people think when you hear big or bombastic, you think like a wall of noise, right? Like how many instruments, how many tracks can we fit into this song? And for me, it's not that way. It's like how everything is very has a point of being there. You know what I mean? Like every track, every instrument is important. It's not just like a wall of sound. So it's simple, and I think simple makes it sound bigger.
Yeah.
You know, in Spade, the first song out that we put out a couple months ago has been doing great. I mean, when I wrote that song, I wrote it with two friends of mine, John Stark and Lydia Vaughn. Shout out to y'all. Good buddies of mine. And that title came about, you know, we were talking about cards or something and, you know, playing cards. I think I played cards with the buddies, you know, a few nights back. But I was thinking about my grandma, honestly, because she taught me how to play poker and shoot pool. She was a carny. You know, like she and her, well, they never got married, but they made a living on the road for decades running a carnival.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Wild. I'm serious.
Okay, can you tell a story from just maybe one that they told you, like from that?
Yeah, I mean, I never met my granddad.
Okay.
He passed away pretty young, but Mavis was her name. It was my mom's mom, and she was a colorful character.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, lived 5 lifetimes. You know, had her demons, but was a colorful character. And I mean, let me think. I mean, she told me a story because when I first started playing guitar, I loved Johnny Cash because Johnny Cash is from Arkansas. You know.
Okay.
And she couldn't find the Polaroid, but when Johnny put out "Boy Named Sue," it was his first single out. It kind of made him pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he put that single out, and at the time, he was touring on my grandma's carnival circuit. So, like, there's a Polaroid somewhere of them, like, you know, drinking whiskey. And
Stop.
Yeah.
How did I not know this about? Well, I guess you wouldn't just like walk around and be like, Johnny Cash was in a carnival.
No.
That's
I mean,
cool.
it's not, you know, it's a cool part of my story, but she was so cool, you know, and I think a lot of. Going back to that freedom thing you were talking about, I think a lot of that gypsy blood that they had kind of bled down into me sometimes.
So Spade is kind of inspired by that.
Well, that was the kind of
your family.
That was the kind of idea,
Okay.
the title, and then the sonics of it, the groove. You know, it's got a real shuffle thing, right?
Yeah.
And like John had this really cool shuffle, and I don't ever hear shuffles anymore. So I was like, well, dude, let's just
Bring
chase
it
that.
back.
Yeah, let's chase that, and it's so much fun to play live because it gets the crowd dancing.
Gets the crowd going.
Yeah.
What was the last concert that you went to as a fan that you really enjoyed?
Oh man.
Where you felt that? Or one maybe that you've been to in your lifetime that you just really like remember?
One that really sticks out that was like actually one that really sticks out to me that was really instrumental to like want to play music was a band called Need to Breathe.
Yes.
Yeah. Me and my brother went and saw them in Little Rock, Arkansas, like in 2010. You know, and they had just started playing theaters, and we just thought they were gods. You know, like they were like so kick ass and like so energetic and cool, and it was like rock and roll, but like still like they just took it through peaks and valleys. You know, the whole show.
Yeah.
And we just thought that was so cool. So that was probably like a really instrumental thing looking back.
What is going to be your favorite song to play live when you get going on?
I think it'll change.
Yeah.
You know, I think right now Muscle Car really has a thing for, like, I have a thing for that song. I think Born Ready is a really, really special song. I think once that gets out and gets into people, and I think that song could be really, really special live. Because on the record, we cut it, you know, it's a quiet song and it builds, but like the lyric is so strong. Mm-hmm. And then I always like imagine that song having just a moment at the end,
right.
like Coldplay almost.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
Big. And we did it. We cut it that way. And I had some people that were like, don't do that. Don't put it on the end. You know, don't do it that way, man. Just let it breathe. And I was like, man, I really think this could be special. And we went with it, and it turned out so cool.
Talk about the recording process a little bit more, and maybe like a song that you took more time on and then others, or one that was really easy to go in and out in the studio. Yeah,
well, the whole recording process was I wouldn't say easy.
Yeah.
But it was I don't know, it moved fluidly.
Yeah.
You know, and I give all the credit to my producer Dan Agee, who's just a rock star. We met after I signed at Big Yellow Dog, and we just, you know, the artist-producer relationship is so important. You know, specifically when you're different. Mm-hmm. You know, and I never wanted to get involved with the producer because it's hard. You know, it's hard as a young artist to come in and cut a record and be. Because you don't want to overstep, but you don't want to be too docile to where you get walked over, you know? And the producers sometimes can be pretty heavy-handed in what they want you to sound like. Mm-hmm. And I've been in rooms where I've just, you know, butted heads pretty hard. And because I always had the sound in my head, you know? But me and Dan linked up, and it was just like, oh, dude, where have you been? You know what I mean? So it's pretty magical. And what I love about the sonics and how we cut the EP is it's like very half and half. Like you can hear where there's live band moments. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times in town, you cut everything, I mean, very specifically, and it's all like
pre-planned, premeditated.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
You know, but all my favorite records, you know, had that kind of band sound. But I wanted to stay contemporary, too. So we kind of cut it half and half. So we cut it at his place. A lot of guitars and vocals and kind of got the outline of the songs the way we wanted them to sound. And then we took it to Shannon Forrester, who's just a legend. Yeah. Like, legend producer, legend drummer, session player. And he has a big barn down south of Franklin. Mm-hmm. And we cut some live stuff there.
Love that so much.
It's cool.
It's so good. The whole EP is amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm really happy for you. I know this is like the debut of the thing, and it's a great way to open up.
Thanks.
The beginning of your journey.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So talk about kind of like before getting to this point. What were some experiences? I know you toured with Leonard Skinner at one point, which was really cool.
Yeah, I mean that was a dream.
Yeah,
right? I mean, come on, like that. Even like we say it now, because like we grew up on Leonard Skinner. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The Skinner story is cool because we were in rehearsal or something, and no, I was just like in a meeting, I think.
With Zach, he was back there, not on camera.
Yeah, and Zach just texted me, he's like, "Hey man, call me."
Yeah.
And so he's like, "That's really good or really bad," you know. So I called him and I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "You want to open up for Skinner in Nevada this weekend?" And it's like Wednesday at this point. Yeah. You know, so I'm like, yeah, man, let's go. How do we make it happen? So I called my boys, and like me and my band, we're like a family. You know, it's a band of brothers for sure. Even though I play with one of my brothers, like I mean, like my drummer.
Your community, you have a pretty tight knit community.
Yeah, it's a crew, and you know, my drummer is like my high school buddy. Like we went to high school, best buds, and my guitar player I played with for like 6 years, and so I called everyone up, and luckily everyone was free. You know, so we were on a plane 24 hours later, flying out to Las Vegas, and that was cool because you got to see how big it can get. You know what I mean? Like we've had the opportunity to play and open up for some artists we love and admire and big stages and everything, but that was one of the most electric. I couldn't sleep the rest of that night just because that much energy of like 12,000 people coming at you. It was just electric. And
with someone who's obviously, you know, someone you look up to or a legend or whatnot.
And they were all so cool, you know, and like the crew to me, like you can really tell, you can base how the band's going to be off their crew, you know? Yeah. And like if the crew's cool, the band's typically pretty cool, you know? So we just had a blast. We had so much fun.
What kind of advice do you have for someone that's like looking for that family in their band or in their crew or just their community, you know?
Yeah, I think for bands, and honestly, I'm not good at giving advice. You know, I think everyone's path is their path. Yeah. But there's when you're playing music with people, there's like an automatic chemistry. It's almost like dating. Yeah. Really, like a first date.
Literally. But I wouldn't know because I've never played with the band before. I hear what you're saying.
No, I mean, there's a spark, you know? And, like, there's a spark when you're playing, and, like, so you got to have that. Mm-hmm. And I think to have, like, the longevity, everyone has to have the same vision and dream. Everyone's got to want it. as much as you do.
Yes.
Because if like one or two people, it's like having flat tires.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get there.
What's your band or like Zach's favorite song off the EP?
Ooh.
He's looking at me like, why'd you ask that question?
It's probably different for all four of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know we all love playing Muscle.
Yeah.
I know we all love playing Spade. What I love too is like we all have such different musical taste, and like palettes of music we love. But when we get together, it's a sound. You know what I mean? Like we sound like a band, which is so cool to me.
Which is what you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think it's so much. It's just different for us because in town, as an artist, a lot of times you just get put, or you just kind of like you hire guns, which is cool because you got the best players in the world in this town. And I think that's really cool, but at the same time, it's really hard to replicate chemistry.
Yeah.
And so when we're playing live shows, you can feel it.
Yeah. It's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those guys.
So you're gonna perform today for us. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna play acoustically?
I'm gonna play Spade acoustic,
Yay.
and I'll probably do You Always Do.
Oh, and that was one of your singles that you put out before the EP came out too.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. Well, very, very excited for you to perform both those songs. Gable Bradley, Everywhere.
Gable Bradley, Everywhere.
Everywhere, don't forget it. Cheers, my friends.
Cheers, girl. Thanks so much for having me on.
Of course. Thank you so much for watching the Libby O Show. Go check it out, GableBradley.com, LibbyOShow.com, and thanks for watching.
It's the Libby O Show. The Libby O Show. It's the Libby O Show. It's the Libby O Show.